One of my favorite things to do professionally as a lawyer is to represent executives and founders personally in the context of an M&A deal. This is certainly one of the most exciting things that I get to do. And I've thought over the years, especially as I start off with a new group of executives or founders who I'm representing, that I wish I had a video that explained what's really happening in the context of an M&A deal. Because 9 times out of 10, my clients have never gone through this before. The company, however, or the company's counsel certainly has, I certainly have, and the acquiring company is more than likely, especially in Silicon Valley, one of these companies that's an acquiring machine, like Cisco, for example, where they buy lots of companies. And they know how to do this. But my clients have never been through this before, and they don't know what's going on. So for that reason, I've decided to make this video to educate founders and senior executives about some of the issues, the most common ones that will arise in an M&A deal that will affect them personally. And for the purpose of, best illustrating this process, I asked my good friend Michael Glaser, who is the chair of the corporate department for Perkins Coie, which is a global law firm. And his job in an M&A deal would be to represent the company. For the purpose of our discussion here, he's representing the company that my client has founded. So in other words, he's representing the company being acquired, and I'm representing the executive team. For the purpose of this discussion, we don't have the company buying us in the room. It's just us. So first off, welcome, Michael.
Thanks, Doug.
And the reason why I wanted to invite Michael is for a couple reasons. One, I've known Michael for many, many years. We have negotiated against each other intensely, where I'm representing the founder and he's representing the company. We've also had the tables turned, where sometimes, in fact, I have such great respect for Michael, and I do believe that Michael is one of the top, unequivocally top corporate lawyers in Silicon Valley. I believe that so much that my last company, where I was general counsel, I hired Michael and his firm to be my primary outside counsel. And I've also been involved with several other startups where I'm serving as an advisor, and where I'm, again, get to work with Michael and his team. So it's really a privilege to have you here, and thank you for doing this.
Oh, I'm humbled by the praise, Doug.
The other thing I would say, and Michael says this to me all the time, is, and this is what's so interesting about this dynamic, is in the context of an M&A deal, I'm representing the founder, but the person who's had the relationship longer with my client is actually the company's lawyer 9 times out of 10, because Michael was there from the beginning. And you don't have to share the name of a client, but I'm sure you can think of many situations where it was just you and the founder for years and years and years, and now all of a sudden that company's being bought. From your perspective, you're usually the one who says to your client or your founder client, hey, on this deal, I'm representing the company, but you need to get your own personal lawyer.
Right.
Why is that?
This is a really good question, Doug. I am a startup lawyer by trade, so I usually find myself on the sell side of these M&A transactions, not the buy side. And you're right, I've often had a relationship with the founder or founders from the time that they were just a business plan and a willingness to go forward. There are times, though, in these M&A deals where there's a divergence of interests. Sometimes it's founders versus investors, sometimes it's one founder versus other founders. But in those moments, these are people that I have deep relationships with, that I care for, I really want good outcomes for them, but I have a role as company counsel, and that is to represent the interests of the company as a whole. And that's when we need to involve someone like you.
And I'm obviously grateful for that. And in terms of that possible conflict, your role, as you said, is to act in the best interest of the company. And my role is to think about what's solely in the best interest of the founder. Can you give an example of where sometimes those roles slightly diverge? And I will say, for the audience's perspective, These negotiations between founders counsel and company counsel are always collegial, or they should be. We're basically on the same side. It's just his focus ethically has to be on protecting the company, whereas my focus is just on protecting the founder.